Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing fantastic and that you're all having a great day. It's that time of the month again. Yes, I'm away, I'm traveling the world, I'm out somewhere where I wasn't before and now I am there. So, you know what that means. Welcome back to another News I Missed, where I go over news I missed. I am not here, but I am making sure that there is still enough news and videos for everyone out there. And without further ado, because that was definitely an ado, let's jump right into it. Bitcoin holder El Salvadorian President Nayib Bukele and Justin Sun, the least important part of it, the founder of Tron and Grenada's ambassador, have decided to accumulate Bitcoin at a pace of 1 Bitcoin per day. They said, "We are buying 1 hashtag Bitcoin every day starting tomorrow," Bukele tweeted late Wednesday. Soon after, looking for attention, Sun announced a similar plan mimicking Bukele's accumulation strategy. If you don't know who Justin Sun is or haven't heard a lot about him, he's been around in the crypto space for a while, and he's basically the literal copycat of everything that happens. When Elon Musk announced that he was going to try and accumulate or buy Twitter, Justin Sun tried to jump onto the buying of the company as well, and then he announced because he couldn't get in on Twitter, he was going to try and buy another social media platform, which also didn't end up happening. Everything Changpeng Zhao does, Justin Sun tries to do. What was the other recent thing? There was some other company who announced that they were doing something big, and that's what it was. When FTX collapsed and Changpeng Zhao said that he was going to try and purchase FTX, and he said no, Justin Sun was like, "Oh, guess what? Now everything that everyone else does, he tries to do, but it doesn't work out ever for him." So when I saw the news that the El Salvadorian president announced that he was going to try and accumulate 1 Bitcoin per day, and then minutes later, Justin Sun was like, "Hey, us too. Look at what we can do because we can also do it." It's like, okay, just stop. And I think at this point, Justin Sun is supposed to be a billionaire as well. But the desperate need for attention is so heavy, like it makes the Tron project and everything else that they touch also just completely seem like garbage. The strategy of purchasing Bitcoin on a set schedule instead in reaction to market movements is known as dollar cost averaging. The advantage of dollar cost averaging is that it removes the emotional component of decision making, and you end up paying less in dollar terms for the investment over the long run than you would spend when timing the market. El Salvador is very well known for, I think they announced that Bitcoin was legal tender in 2020, maybe 2019. It feels like forever ago. I feel like it's like 3 months. Everything seems to last so long within the cryptocurrency space. And the way that previously, apparently, that they were buying cryptocurrencies was, if we had a rough week, if we had a rough time, he would go on Twitter and announce that they bought the dip. It happened like 4 or 5 times. We bought the dip. We bought 700 Bitcoin. We bought the dip. We bought 540 Bitcoin. We bought the dip. It was the same thing over and over and over. But I guess this seems and is a lot more stable. And also, if you have enough copycats who are trying to get into the news, now let's say you have multiple countries and companies and institutions all doing the exact same thing, Bitcoin would dry up very, very fast. So I think this is some sort of, I don't want to say ploy, but it's definitely a like a newsworthy moment where everyone's trying to get into the news for this thing. I would love if we had 1,000 entities or companies and or countries around the world who were accumulating 1 Bitcoin per day. It would all be gone very, very fast. Bukele and Sun's decision to deploy or employ the dollar cost averaging strategy comes as the recent collapse of, no, it's not, stop it. And here we are once again where everyone's trying to connect FTX to everything so desperately. It's absolutely out of control. I'm certain that Bukele wasn't sitting there like, well, FTX collapsed once a day. I think it sounds Sounds similar to FTX. Let's buy Bitcoin once. It doesn't make any sense. Everything is not connected to it. A lot of people actually like dollar cost averaging. It's not for me, I think. If you've watched the channel before, it's not so much that I like deal in, how do I say this? While I may seem emotional all the time on the channel, and I know someone just laughed, it's more of a, like, I kind of buy usually at the beginning and the middle of the month. There's not like I buy if it's low, I buy if it's high. I don't really care for any kind of other weird purchases. I believe in the space. I think as long as we get away from all the nonsense, we can do well as a market. So, I just kind of buy all the time. This was very popular news. El Salvador to start buying 1 Bitcoin per day, says Bukele. El Salvador to buy daily, what? To buy daily 1 Bitcoin. That is not proper English sentence making grammaticals. Cool. I hope it works out for them. I hope the country actually gets richer. And I mean that sincerely. It's more of once again, Bitcoin is not meant for the wealthy. It's meant for the other 6 billion people on the planet. I don't know if you just saw, we are officially 8 billion people on this planet, officially. Bitcoin's meant for the other 6 billion who don't have a lot of money, who aren't the richest of the rich, but we keep letting rich people take over the entire market. So I guess that's just something that we're going to have to deal with. That's the El Salvador's buying 1 Bitcoin per day news. And yeah, let's move on. Also this isn't, okay, sure, why not? Nike, or Nike, depending on where you are in the world, a global leader in athletic footwear, announced the launch of Dot Swoosh. And they even have a thing here that tells you how to pronounce it, as if you don't understand that there's a dot here and the word swoosh. On Monday, a new platform designed to foster a community around its digital wearables to mark the brand's entry into the Web3 space. Nike stated that Dot Swoosh will be a network for trading and purchasing digital items like virtual shoes and jerseys, and a resource for Web3 education. Fantastic. The business claims that users may wear their products while playing video games and engaging. Can you imagine? And engaging in other intensive activities. Intensive activities? Okay. Users can also establish their own collections on the platform with the help of Dot Swoosh, which will enable them to get royalties for their collections, according to a new statement from Ron Farris, General Manager of Nike Virtual Studios. Athletic footwear is creating a future marketplace with an approachable platform for Web3 curious people. He further stated that the network community and Nike can develop, share, and profit together in this new arena. So this is basically because a lot of all of the 99% of the NFT market trading happens on OpenSea. A lot of it happens on Rarible, but the vast majority actually happens on OpenSea, usually on Polygon or on Ethereum. Nike has done extremely well with their NFT products and NFT drops. I'll tell you something. I have a friend. I don't think he's watching. If you're watching, hello, friend. I try not to be jealous. It's usually when I see someone making it, I'm like, awesome, excellent. I have a friend, he told me that when Nike first dropped their first NFTs, this was, I think, last year, maybe the year before. I don't know the exact time frame. He said he saw the price. I think they were like 0.05 ETH each, and he was like, sure. So he said he bought like 6 or 7 of each of them, like each. So like each one, he bought 7 of them. The thing with Nike is they keep doing airdrops for their NFTs. So he got airdropped like a vial that something came out of, and that vial had like a goop that could transform another NFT into something else. And then he got airdropped like an apartment from Nike. You can find it. It's so weird. I think it's called like a Nike pod or something like that, where you can basically like live inside of it, like in a metaverse setting. Like it is a home in a metaverse. You can walk around and like, put your NFTs around it, like the shoes that they have and all this other stuff. And then he got airdropped something else, and then another thing cracked open, and that also has something else. And we were talking about this. I don't think if he is. Anyway, the point is, hello, friend, if you're listening. He was telling me, he was like, yeah, I barely put like half an ether. And now I have like 60 ether worth of stuff. And I was like, what? Like, it hit me so hard. I was like, of course, I buy multiples of everything. I buy multiples of VV stuff. I buy multiples of even comic books in real life. But for some reason, the idea of buying multiples of Nike stuff didn't even make it into my brain. So anyway, the point is bringing it on back. Like it's just so absolutely incredible, the amount of money that can be made in these markets. It's actually otherworldly. So anyway, the point is this is basically being done because OpenSea kind of controls the entire space, if you will. So if Nike creates their own place, .swoosh, where you can trade in stuff on their platform, they get the transaction fees that are happening as opposed to OpenSea. I assume that they will still be doing business with OpenSea and won't be taking all of their things off of the platform, but they're making it so that any new drops basically revolve around their ecosystem, can be traded and moved outside to another platform, sure, but they want people to stay within their general thing. Also, I mean, they do pretty well. So, I mean, sad news. Remember when I told you before that I got like online robbed and people were stealing my NFTs? That's what they stole. They stole all my Nike stuff, my Nike and my Adidas NFTs. But even then, like, they're still doing really good. Like, I'm very fascinated to see what team they have working on this because they haven't done anything bad. Like, a lot of the stuff that they're dropping actually looks really good. They're working with big names. Like, usually like they're working with Murakami, which is one of the larger people. Anyway, the point is Nike's making their own platform called .swoosh. I know it's going to be popular. Nike's absolutely gigantic. There are tons of sneakerheads, digital sneakerheads now as well, who are also like collecting tons of these things. So quite fascinating to see. Wish them all the best of luck with all that stuff. Yeah, that's the Nike news. And yeah, let's move on. Also in the news, Abu Dhabi's global market, ADGM, and Financial Services Regulatory Authority have granted Binance clearance to offer its services within the region. An official announcement made from the United Arab Emirates capital's financial center confirmed that Binance will be cleared to offer cryptocurrency custodial services to professional clients once it has met the requirements for its financial services permission. The news comes after Binance founder and CEO Changpeng Zhao attended the Abu Dhabi Finance Week. Zhao appeared on stage alongside Galaxy Digital CEO and investor Mike Novogratz at the event for a wide-ranging conversation that touched on the aftermath of the ongoing FTX bankruptcy. Because Binance has already been granted a foothold in Abu Dhabi after being granted in-principle approval from ADGM in April of this year. This gives the exchange the go-ahead to operate as a broker-dealer for cryptocurrencies and digital assets. Also in the news, which doesn't... It's not that it doesn't matter, but this guy is the same exact way as Warren Buffett, the other guy as well who always hangs out with him, Munger, I think it's called Munger, and Jamie Dimon. This was the popular portion of the news of this. Not that Binance got the paperwork, it's more so Nurio Rubini basically went on stage during some economic forum that was also happening during this event and announced that he was very surprised that Binance was able to actually get any type of clearance or regulatory approval within Abu Dhabi because he thinks that Binance is completely corrupt and he's surprised that Binance hasn't collapsed and he thinks that things are going to get worse for cryptocurrencies because he doesn't trust any of it. This was popular news because anytime that anyone says anything negative about crypto, it ends up making the news. Why it ends up in crypto news, I'm not really sure. I think maybe people just like to hear negative things about the market that we're in. I can't really give you an exact answer. I would highly prefer if we simply did not give these people time ever on Twitter, on any other platform where they are, even on CNBC. But, you know, negative news always sells. So this guy hasn't liked crypto from the very beginning. He's been one of the, hardcore mainstays, the people who were like, this entire market's garbage, Bitcoin is a farce. And then people have tried to explain things to him before on stage as to how Bitcoin actually works, and he doesn't want to hear it. He's one of those people, I give you the truth, F the truth, because I want to live in my own little bubble. I think he's one of the original people. Years ago, here's an even crazier one. Years ago, there was a lot of speculation, and this will sound so stupid to you now. Years ago, there was tons of speculation as to what all the numbers within Bitcoin were. Right. So people realized that in order to confirm transactions or validate transactions, you had to plug in your computer or plug in your machines together, connect them, and then validate the transactions. And there were tons of people who did not like Bitcoin or the idea of people having an open financial system who kept on saying, well, what are all these numbers for? The idea being, well, what's all the, what are these thousands of transactions that are happening? And people were like, well, you have to solve math problems to be able to be rewarded the Bitcoin. Why do you have to solve math? Because that's the way that the thing is made. Well, who's making the math problems? It was this really weird thing where they were trying to find some type of conspiracy theory. It went on for years, at least 2 years, where people were putting out articles that they thought that they were solving some type of like, I don't even know what the word would be. Basically like helping nefarious governments solving mathematical problems to take down the US. That's kind of the idea that these people had. And it's like, they don't live on the same planet that we do. I understand, believe me, I understand the skepticism for the space, especially when you see these constant collapses and scams and all these other things that are going on. I even also am slightly in that ballpark when I tell you and have been telling you for years, we don't need 13,000 coins, which is currently, I think, where we are. We don't need 5,000. We maybe need 20 to 25. Unlike we don't want one blockchain to have all the stress. Cool. Let's spread it out. But having thousands and tens of thousands of coins, especially when we keep seeing over and over that a lot of these things are not real or are just rug pulls, I get the skepticism for the area. When you actually look into the coins that are actually being used, you know which coins are being used, and you can verify their usage and see the money that's passing through them. You can't really argue about them anymore. So anyway, the news is Nurio Rubini. I forgot what he's famous for. I don't remember. He was very popular years ago. He's some kind of economist for something. Like he's a major economist, but he doesn't agree with the idea of the word's not deflation. No, yeah. I think that's it. He thinks that we should continue living in a world where there's constant inflation, and the idea of Bitcoin being deflationary, he says it makes no sense and it can't work. And the people tried to explain to him that at least for the next 140 years, it would work as Bitcoin continues being created. And then someone tried to explain to him, so like one Bitcoin is 100 million Satoshis. And someone tried to explain to him that you can simply add other decimals at the end. It would not change the point of there still being one Bitcoin. But in the future, if everyone votes and agrees on it, instead of Bitcoin being 100 million Satoshis, we can make it 5 billion Satoshis so that the number goes down further so that Bitcoin can continue to be divisible so that it can be given and used by other people around the world as the population increases. It's a computer program. It can be upgraded like I told you all in the past, but he doesn't get it. He doesn't want to get it. But I think he's just part of that generation of people who, not that they're reluctant to technological changes. It's kind of like, if I say it's not broke, don't fix it, which is kind of like the Warren Buffett kind of people. These people who became rich off of the current system. So of course they don't want to change it. That's how they became wealthy. Anyway, that's the Nurio Rubini doesn't like Binance, and Binance has been given extra paperwork by Abu Dhabi to be able to work there. I guess it just makes a lot of sense because that's just kind of what's going to end up happening. They have paperwork in a bunch of other UAE countries right now, so I assume they can get it from the other ones. And I would also assume, as rich as these countries are, they're doing some type of due diligence and actually looking into Binance's paperwork and finances to see that Binance is, not insolvent and is actually not fake. so that they can actually work in the country. That's the Binance Abu Dhabi global market news. Yeah. Let's move on. Also sure, the legend is coming to Binance, said someone. Football giant Cristiano Ronaldo will be launching his own NFT collection. They said, or he said, my NFT collection is coming on the 18th of November exclusive on Binance. He added that fans can use a referral code to receive a surprise when the collection drops. A Cristiano Ronaldo mystery box for the first 1.5 million new Binance users to use the code may include limited edition Ronaldo NFTs, said the press release. And there's the tweet for it right there. The image looks like him in paint or like oil. I'm not sure what that's supposed to be. The CR7, is that his name? NFT collection will be the first of a series of drops featuring the football icon Cristiano Ronaldo. The press release added that the future sets of the Cristiano Ronaldo NFT collection will be available in early 2023. So this was popular news, I think. So I'm not really into football. Like, I've watched some games, and I think it's cool to see people running after each other after an inanimate object on a field, which is great and all. But I know that Cristiano Ronaldo is like supposed to be like it. I guess he's the new age David Beckham. I'm not really sure. So this was quite popular news because it's him, and he created an NFT project. But he joins the long list, the long line, the long something of people who are doing this as well. So I assume he will have great success in this. He's also smiling in the photo because he knows he's going to be, I guess, rich forever. How much is this man worth? I want to say low 100 millions. I assume it's not only $5 million. I assume it's much higher than that. Anyway, that's the Cristiano Ronaldo is launching an NFT collection on Binance news. Sure. Let's move on. Also in news, the long anticipated, that's a stretch, plans by the Australian Securities Exchange, or ASX, to use blockchain to bring its clearing and settlement system into the 21st century have just been canceled. In a 17th of November statement, ASX announced it has paused all current activities of its chess replacement project following an independent review from the technology consulting firm Accenture, which identified significant challenges with the solution designed and its ability to meet ASX's requirements. You'll find out why. They said current activities on the project have been paused while ASX revisits that's very difficult to say, ASX revisits the solution design. For the last 5 years, ASX has been working on a distributed ledger technology solution, basically a blockchain. So you know how like people say NFTs who are in the NFT space, and everyone who's just getting into it, they call it digital collectibles. That's kind of like the pinky in the air version of saying NFTs. NFTs is seen as like lightly juvenile for those of you who did not know. I still say NFTs because they're NFTs. But like in order to make them like fancier, people say, "Oh, I'm buying digital collectibles." Well, great for you. The other side of that is we all know what a blockchain is, or I hope you understand what a blockchain is. The pinky in the air version for institutions and governments, they don't like saying we're using blockchain. So they say we're using distributed ledger technology. This is why Ripple uses it, because they are planning on or want to work with more banks and governments. And therefore you have to say like it's a ledger that's based on technology that is distributed to everyone. It sounds fancier than blockchain. That would replace its 25-year-old clearinghouse electronic sub-register system. That sounds terrible. Clearinghouse electronic sub-register system known as CHESS, used to record shareholdings and manage transaction settlements. Originally, the system was slated for 2020, but I assume the world collapsed, so they were like, oh, wait, we can't do it. Oh, yeah, it says that. Yeah, that was it. It needed more time for deployment, capacity overhauls, and even more testing before it went live. Amongst findings in its 47-page report, Accenture said that business workflows are not tailored for a distributed environment. Did you catch that? They said the distributed ledger technology-based system was too complex and that the completion time was uncertain regardless of the application software being over 60% complete. Basically, they figured out that they don't want to use a blockchain because blockchains are open and they want to use something that's basically a lot more centralized. The idea is so many companies, especially over the last couple of years, remember the iced tea company who changed their name? What was it, like Blockchain Iced Tea or Iced Tea? It was something stupid like that. Everyone just thinks that they can hop onto blockchain and use it in any sort of way. The other issue is that governments and also, I guess, clearing houses and stock exchanges have announced doing the exact same thing for the digitization of everything, kind of. But the problem is that the issue that you face in a distributed ledger or a blockchain is that information is shared with other people who also run nodes. In a system where, and this is not pointing fingers at chess or the Australian anything because I don't care. The idea is that it is believed that a lot of shady things happen in the background of these entities or these empires or even the New York Stock Exchange. You've heard the news before. You know, it's not just the 2008, 2009 crisis that took place. These things take place quite often. So with them probably realizing that they can't keep the information to themselves, that any wrongdoings would immediately be going out to hundreds of other people who are running nodes or other institutions or other stock exchanges around the world. This is why I assume that they stopped it. They said basically blockchain is not tailored for a distributed environment. It's because they don't want this information to go out. Whatever's going on behind the scenes, they want to keep it within themselves. But the promise of blockchain is kind of you can tell when there is fraud. This is why we have the idea of proof of reserves or how much money do you have and all these kind of other things, because the point of Bitcoin is you are meant to be completely transparent. The reason, I don't know the mythos behind Satoshi Nakamoto, but if you read about it, the original idea of Bitcoin is there's so many things happening in the shadows that we don't know about. If everyone can see how much Bitcoin is created, where Bitcoin is going, how much the so-and-so is, how many, all these things are very transparent. You can't lie. You can't sit there and say, I have 50,000 Bitcoin when you have 1,000 Satoshis. You would have to be able to prove these things to all these people. But the current financial system that we are all wrapped up in does not work that way. So I found this very interesting that they've been trying. And think of that. They've been trying to find a solution to not have to be transparent for years. Isn't that really interesting to figure out? Even a lot of times you hear that certain companies are trying to work on blockchain, like they're trying to work on Ethereum, but they end up trying to make their own little section of Ethereum just for themselves that no one else can see. So that they're able to say, oh, no, we're actually working on Ethereum totally, 99% drop in emission rates. It's really great, but they want the secrecy still for themselves, but they can't do it. So a lot of them end up making like forks of Ethereum that they end up working in. So like it's not connected at all. Like they kind of make their own Ethereum blockchain that only them and their company's working on, but they can lie to people and say, yeah, we're using blockchain now. And it's still as centralized as ever because there are no nodes. There are no other validators except for them still. As always, just try and watch out for, this has nothing to do with what's on the screen, but just always try and watch out for people lying. I find the space crypto to be so fascinating that people are so desperate to make huge amount of money that they will let people lie to them just for a chance at being able to make a large amount of money. It's a very odd time that we live in, but when inflation's 10% and rent keeps going up and energy costs are also skyrocketing and you can't afford bread anymore, I guess I understand the greed. That's the Australian Stock Exchange is abandoning their blockchain plans. Apparently, it cost them $170 million. Imagine for a moment if that money had been used to help citizens. No, that would never happen. Helping people? That sounds freaking ridiculous. $170 million down the drain. Think of how many. Never mind. Let's move on. Yeah, I do hope that you've all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a great day, a great morning, great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again, as always, for leaving a like, for leaving a comment, for subscribing, for just supporting the channel. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.